Hey, in this video I'll show you how to create these animated digital circuit lines and also this texture glitch effect using some clever UV mapping technique and also simple math. It might seem a bit messy at first, but once you grasp the concept, you'll be able to create another cool shader using these techniques. So, make sure to stick around until the end of this video. And if you missed the first part, you can catch up by watching the video here. Alright, let's dive into the concept and break it down a little bit. And from what I see, it's super solid and most of the shapes are constructed with straight lines. And you notice those lines around the collarbone and also the shoulder follow the natural contour of the body? Yeah, it seems like the design is influenced by anatomy. Next we go to the lines. You see that the line's color is orange and we also have some moving dots in the line that is colored in yellow and also magenta. But it's better not to make it too big or moving too fast, and just make it subtle and kinda giving it like a interesting texture to the overall look. And finally, let's talk about the texture glitch. It's adding some cool distortion texture, almost like a thin line around the edges, and the color around the glitching area is brighter than the actual color. Okay, that's enough for the breakdown. Let's jump into the project. So for this shader, I only used two textures. One is a mask for the red area, and the other one is for the lines. I'm not gonna show you how I did it, because I know it's gonna be a very long video. Instead, I'm gonna give you 7 tips to make the texture really good. The first point is to give a graphic design feeling. You notice right that the movie looks like a 2D animated movie? Solid shapes, looks great on the camera. So keep it simple and don't make it too realistic. Just make sure it looks good from different angles and looks very graphic from many angles. And in order to get that look, you might find yourself need to adjust the shape to get that design right. And make sure that the straight line maintains straight, while the curved lines have a smooth and pleasing curvature. Or at least it got that feeling. From my experience, it's better to focus on the placement first. No need to worry about how it looks on the UV, because you can polish the texture after you got all of the placement right. And keep in mind why the texture is there and what is the intention of the design. For example, the palm area, the back, the shoulder, the collarbone. Yeah, you can see it from the design. And the next tip is to make a standard. For example, use a distinct line thickness grouping or make a neat gap between shapes. It will help to make the texture more solid. And lastly, take your time. Don't rush. You don't want your Spider-Man to end up looking like this guy, right? Alright, now that we've got our texture ready, it's time to add it to our shader. First up, I can just drag our red mask texture, and this is gonna separate between the red color from the blue area. We can just duplicate the mix node from here, connect them like this, and the B color, we're gonna just temporarily change it to red, and later we're gonna replace it with the actual texture with the animated lines. Move on to the line texture. I'm gonna drag the texture here, and then create a mix node. Connect the line texture to the vector, connect the mix node to the red area color input, and we can change the A color to red, and also the B color to orange, and it's better to match the color with the reference. I think it looks okay for now. And next we're going to create those animated dots inside the lines using a noise texture, and we also gonna need a ramp shader and a mix color, and then connect them like this. And you might want to copy the orange color because I will plug the mix node to the B color. But before we connect them, let's see how the noise texture projected into the model. Looks like the texture projection is wrong, so we're gonna need to connect the UV to the texture node. But just for a heads up, we're gonna use multiple UVs from now on, and I'll explain you more about that in a bit. So, to assign our main UV to the texture, instead of using the texture coordinate, we're gonna use the UV map node and select the main UV map, which I name it base, and connect it to the noise texture. Maybe we can increase the size and connect the mix node to the B color to see the result. And for the color A, we can just paste the orange color, and the color B is going to be the light color, which is yellow. We still cannot see the result because the noise texture is kinda still blurry, so we need to move the points in the color ramp, move it closer like this, to get a more contrast texture. And depends on the position, it will determine the size of the light, but you can also change the size from the noise texture size. But if you compare it with the reference, the light size is quite small and have a sharp edge, so I think I will adjust it a little bit more. And yeah, this is how it looks like with the main shader. It looks pretty good. Next we're going to add another lights, which is the magenta lights. And we can just duplicate the nodes, connect the UV map to the noise texture, and connect them like this. And we can change the color to magenta. But now, we see that the orange and the magenta lights are overlapping each other, so we can fix this by giving the noise size to be a different number. Okay, now the problem is fixed. You can see the cursor from distance, and I noticed the number of the lights is too small, and I think I need to add more lights to it. So I can edit by adjusting the size of the noise texture, and I also can play with the color ramp point position. Okay, now that we have our lights set up, it's time to add some motion to the lights. So let's add a mapping node between the UV node and the noise texture, and by moving or rotating the texture coordinate, somehow it will make the noise texture move dynamically. And to control the motion, I will only use the rotation, and to do that, we need to add a combine XYZ node and also a value node, and we can connect them like this, and set the value to hash frame. So the texture will rotate in each axis based on the frame number. And if we press play or space, the lights are already moving, but they are moving too fast. So we're gonna need to slow it down by multiplying it with a math node and change the operation to multiply and multiply it by 0.1 and see if the animation is slowing down. Oh, I think it's still moving too fast. How about we change it to 0.001? Yeah, it's slowing down, but I want to add a more fine control, so I will add another math node and try to find the best value for the speed. Okay, I think 0.3 is enough. And also don't forget to check from distance and see if the speed looks good. Okay, next up, we're going to integrate the glitch effect into our shader to give the character a more dynamic texture. If you take a closer look, you'll notice the glitch direction is always perpendicular to the direction of the body parts. This means we need something to determine the direction of the glitch. Or in other words, we're gonna need a texture like this, mask it to make a small patch of lines, and add an animation to it. The easiest way to obtain this texture is by using some kind of projection method. And in this case, I will using the UV projection. So I'll begin by creating a new UV set, which I will call glitch. And next I'll create a wave texture to indicate the glitch direction and assign glitch to the UV map node. After that, make sure the glitch UV is selected. We can continue by projecting the UV for the entire character from the front view. Press A to select all, U, select project from view, and now we have the texture projected into our character, and it looks like this. And to make the line horizontal, you can change the direction to Y, and you can also increase the size of the texture. Now we kinda getting the texture that we are aiming for, but some areas still have incorrect orientation. So to fix this, I'll reproject the model part by part. Starting with the arm, I'll select all of the faces, ensure a nice selection along the border, and then find a camera angle that is best for the projection. Make the camera angle planar to the geometry and then project the selected face from view. Because the fingers are curled a little bit, so I also need to project both hands. And after the projection, you can also rotate the UV so you have the desired orientation. And if you notice the line thickness is not equal to the other parts, maybe you can scale up or down the UV size to match the line thickness with the other parts. And no need to worry about the position of the UV, because the position doesn't gonna change anything with your texture. But if you want to see the UV clearly, yeah, you can just move it. Yeah, we're gonna just continue to adjust each body part until the texture align nicely. And the seams might not look perfect, but it's not really gonna be visible anyway. And if you are aiming for the smooth transition, instead of separating the UV, you can also enable the proportional editing tool and then just rotate the UV. I'll show you how I use this technique in the next video, so don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out the next video of this series. Okay, now we finished the UV. With our texture and UV all set, it's time to move on to the next step, which is masking out some of the area to create a small patch for the glitch. I'll use a noise texture to create the mask, and use the base as the UV coordinate. And if you look on the reference, you'll notice that the glitch area looks like it's stretched to the side, and so to do that, we're gonna need to create a mapping node to make it look like stretched to the side. Change the scale X to 0.2. And if you add a ramp node and shift the black point closer to the right, we'll get this cloud-like white patch, which will be the glitch area. Now, let's blend this glitch texture with the lines texture. Press Ctrl Shift, click and drag to connect them, and then increase the factor to 1, and change the blending mode to multiply. I think we cannot see the result because the line is too thick, so we can just adjust the line thickness by increasing the size to make the line thinner. Okay, let's clamp the mix texture using the ramp node to enhance the contrast and remove some soft transition on the edges. And there you have it. Yeah, I think the result looks good enough. Alright, it's time to add some animation to our lines. Instead of making the lines moving up, we're going to animate the texture noise texture moving upwards. And the process is almost similar with what we did on the lights. And the difference is only that to connect the value output to the y-axis and connect the combined XYZ to the location. Change the value to hash frame, multiply by 0.001, and this one we also need to change it to multiply and keep the value 0.5. Oh, it's moving downward. Let's change the value to minus 0.001. Okay, now that we have the movement looking good, now let's add some rotation animation to give it a dynamic movement. Just duplicate the combined XYZ from here, connect the math node to the X value, and connect it to the rotation. And yeah, now we have our texture moving up dynamically. Nice! With the masking complete, now we can use the mask for the UV offset to allow us to create a glitching texture effect. To do that, we will need a mapping node to control the UV offset, connect the base UV, and then add a mix node to combine the UV. Then connect them all like this, and drag the glitch mask to the factor. And just to show you how it works, this is what's gonna happen to the texture if I apply the UV into the texture. If I change the X value, you will see that the texture is shifted in certain ways, making the glitch texture that we want. And now if you press play or space, now the glitch texture is moving around our model. Looks cool, right? Okay, let's continue. Just delete this texture, and we can make these nodes as a group, and we can connect some of the value to the group input and output. I will connect the line texture slice, the noise texture slice, the noise mapping node size, and the UV offset. Okay, let's rename it. And for the output, I will drag this one and name it glitch UV and change the type to factor. Press tab, and now we can apply it to the texture that we want to have this glitch effect. I will add it to the red mask and also the line mask. And let's check the final result. But I think the glitch is too strong. Let's reduce the offset to 0.01. Or maybe 0.005. Yeah, it looks nice. You can also use the glitch mask to make the glitch area brighter than the actual color. We'll need to go back to the group nodes, press tab, connect the mask output to the group output, and name it glitch mask, and press tab again. And now we're gonna make the overall look brighter using the RGB curve. Maybe we can lift the brightness a little bit. And mix it with the original. And mask it using the glitch mask. Oh, I think I need to swap the color input. We cannot see the result yet, maybe because the color is not bright enough. Let's level it up until we can see the glitch lines. Yeah, now we can see the lines. Next, let's add some color variation to the red area. In this case, I will use the glitch mask to make some orange lines to it. Duplicate the glitch group, and then duplicate the mix RGB. Connect them like this. And then make sure the color A is red and the color B is orange. Okay, let's adjust the orange so it's more visible. We can also do some experiment with the parameter to achieve an interesting result, but I think it's a good idea to make the position and also the thickness different from the previous glitch that we create to create a deeper layer of texture. Now that we've completed all those steps, let's take a look to the shadow result. And voila! It looks pretty cool, isn't it? And next, we will explore various types of line art that we can use in this artwork that include the shadow, the outline, and how we can use the mask to create the line art on the shoulder. And if you enjoyed this series, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out the next video. Alright, bye!